Hey, what's good everybody? Welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about the amazing Yamaguchi Revoltech Iron Spider. This suit was mainly worn by Peter Parker in a very short stint, but then worn by various other people afterwards. We'll get into that. If you saw my live, you already know what the hell I'm talking about. But if not, this doesn't have to be a generic Peter Parker Iron Spider costume. But yeah. Anyway, I got a chance to sit down and play with it before I jumped into this video, and ever so briefly, and my first thoughts were that I love it. They were things that I would worry about, but I feel like Amazing Yamaguchi is really covering all bases when they do this line and go, all right, well, what do people not like? What can we improve? And that's kind of why we're getting 2.0s of certain stuff now. But with Iron Spider, I gotta say, I'm happy with what I got. Could it have been like the end all be all? I don't know, because I really like what this one gave me. So it may not be what it is for some people, but it's really good for me. So before we jump into Waldos and all the crazy stuff, we're just going to take a quick look at our cool Iron Spider costume. We have our amazing Yamaguchi breakdown, which will be our shoulder articulation, all the cuts for articulation and things like that, which gives us a ton of room for movement with this guy, and it's a glorious, glorious movement. But yeah, they even made a little bit more room in the muscle mass, whereas like kind of like how it was with Deathstroke, right? So it'll actually look like an arm and have very little muscle mass cut into, as he can sit down. Well, not sit, but as he can stand up in a nice static pose and look fantastic. I love the way this guy looks. The ambiance of him is just it's A plus plus. But yeah, if we're talking about articulation, this guy is going to be unrivaled. As you see, we easily hit our T pose. We have these joints that allow us to rotate all the way around, and then on a double joint, as it's squeaky because it's tight, I can go all the way up and through. I can cross over. So let's push this down, and then as you can see here, I can go over. So we already have like this crazy amount of room for our arms. So let's talk about the double joints on the arms. As I sit there and I fold his arms, I'm gonna put them behind him as I find where this joint's invisible joint is, because that's the other thing. Like if the joint rotates one way and you don't see it, you can end up hurting yourself and breaking something. But as you can see here, I didn't do it. I didn't break anything. So yeah, this Spider-Man is already off to a good start. Then we have these parts that allow for a little bit of extra movement as you tuck these up and down. I don't really mess with these most of the time. I don't have to, but should you choose to, you'll still be alright with moving anything around. As far as our ab crunch and upper torso articulation, as you can see here, and that pops off with no problem. Trust me, that's all me showing off that none of those worries about breakage should be a severe issue with this. It's not impossible to not break it, but it should be unlikely. As you can see, I'm already like rotating over with this guy, and I can rotate this way, and my ab crunch going forward is phenomenal. Going backwards is going to be, it's not going to seem like much because of the way it is, but it actually is really good. So we actually have so much movement. As far as our head goes, you saw me go up. You can see me go down. I can tilt left and right. I can look left and right. And our neck has a movement here at the ball joint at the top and the bottom. So lots of room for that movement. And, for our legs. So this is where it gets tricky for some people with the legs. So we have our movement going out, right? And we also have a rotation here, which allows you to rotate any which way you want. Now with the rotation, I would say be careful, because what you move in one spot may not be what you want to move in another, and that may frustrate you. So take your time doing that. As you can see here, going forward, I have no problems. Then I can rotate outward, and this is where I can rotate in. It is a double joint. Actually, it's a single joint that rotates really deeply. Our boot actually has wiggle room, kind of like a boot articulation as well. And then we have amazing ankle joints that can pretty much move in a 360 ball joint movement because of the way it's designed, as well as toe pivot. So you can even do running poses, right? So your Spider-Man is pretty much stacked on all forms of articulation in every which way. And if you don't want your articulation to like sit there and look stuffy and crazy, right, you can really just tweak it just enough so that way you don't have to really worry about any of that. Look at our movement, looking utterly fantastic. Obviously, if you want to cover your gaps, you can. If you don't, you don't have to. You don't have to do anything. But Now we can jump into our Waldos. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pose him up, and then we're going to talk about our Waldos and then attach our Waldos, and then talk about the rest of his accessories. So here's Spider-Man all posed up, looking really good. Just, straight up hunched over pose. We're going to get busy with our Waldos. So you will get 4 of these really awesome Waldos. These Waldos are really, really good. At first I was like, hey, no ratchet joint. Like I might have some problems with that. And then and now my cats are fighting. I'm going to have to deal with that after I record, unfortunately. But these Waldos are pretty cool because what happens is, like I said, you get your movement here in your spot. So you have the Waldo's head, which is, like I said, they're all on these ball joints. So you can go up and down. You can rotate it around. And it can come out if you want them to. Like for when we do the attachment later. I'll talk about that. The same goes for all these other parts. Now, attaching them to Spider-Man himself, is a very simple task. But I want to make sure you pretty much lock in your joints to make sure that you are all right. So let's do that right now. Let's make sure we secure it as well. So we just want to wiggle them in. And we're going to wiggle in 2 more now to check out our weight and make sure everything is all good, right? What I do is before I attach my Waldos, I pretty much push everything in to make sure everything's all right. Because in my live, I was actually having some issues where mine were falling out. And that's because out the box, they don't come tightened in case you want to mess around with yours. So just please be careful and double check your Waldos. Don't be like me, opening them up and getting super excited and then looking crazy. So as you can see, now we have 2 Waldos. And this is where we're going to test out where one of my Waldos was failing me. Because it just actually fell out my hands. I had to pick it up. Right? And we're going to place this at the bottom. As you can see, the porthole is for 3 Waldos, right? And we can attach a 4th one with an attachment. We'll get into that in a second. And this is the one that always gets me. There we go. I'm only going to attach 3 at first. And then even after 3, this is where we finally start to tip over because I haven't balanced it. But for the most part, he can hold a majority of his weight, and he looks absolutely fantastic. The first thing I did in my live, out the box, is I tested whether or not the Waldos could hold up Spider-Man. So let's do it again here to make sure I'm not crazy and that it can live up to its own hype of, showing off Michael Turner cover art. So let's do this, y'all. We're going to make sure Spider-Man can support Spider-Man doing Spider-Man things. And yes, no tweaking, no crazy stuff. Waldos are strong enough to hold up Spider-Man. I think that's very important that we touch on that and talk about this. If you put a little shield under him, I'm pretty sure everyone will be excited with a little spider web under, and then boom. This is fantastic. We are now getting some comic book stuff that can do really cool comic book covers, as well as all of Spider-Man's amazing and spectacular moves. And that warms my heart. It really does, that we can do that. Now, we have our 4th Waldo, and the 4th Waldo comes as an upgrade later with the Avengers, the Initiative stuff with these Scarlet Spiders who wore the armor after. I don't want to judge too much into that, strictly because I want people to read more comics. And if you haven't, read Christos Cage's Dan Slott's Avengers, the Initiative. It's awesome. We have a magnet backpack piece. This will allow your Iron Spider to, you're going to plug it into his back. There's a porthole there. Sorry. Something stuck in my throat. There's a porthole back there that would allow you to stick them to fridge magnets and cool stuff like that. And our Waldo is going to hold up. I don't know for how long, but I like the way this is going, so let's leave it like that. You will get 2 extra pieces. And these extra parts are adding the 4th Waldo or doing attack pincers. I'll go over that right after I go over the hands and stuff. So, you will get, let me move my hand in a way for back focus. So you will get 2 open action hands, the outward flailing hands. Or you can do this as wall crawling hand. Well, not wall crawling hands. These are going to be your open action hands. Sorry. You have your thwip hands, and you will get actual thwip action. So they give you web shooting, web fluid. And if you have the previous Spider-Man, he can actually hold it in his fist. There's a little slit open. That way you can use the previous Spider-Man web effects with this one. Right? And then you actually get your wall crawling hands. So these are the sets of hands that you will get with your Iron Spider. You get two web fluid two web fluid pieces. And then you're going to get these. These are going to be your extra Waldo parts. Now we're going to talk about that real fast. So, let's unbalance you. And we're going to take two of the Waldos. We're going to talk about that back piece. So, you're going to get one back piece to plug into one end, which is right here. And then you are going to plug two more Waldos into the back. And this is how you're going to get your fourth for the backside port. This will allow you to have 4 Waldos at any given time in your Iron Spider. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Yeah. I know it looks crazy right now with all that extra gold and stuff, but this is fantastic. For real. This looks nice. Well, it looks crazy right now, but you know exactly what I meant, y'all. This is really nice. Now, what you can also do is, you can take this very same part, right? And you can, oop, that was actually pretty awesome. Thank you, Waldos. So you can unplug the spearhead of the Waldos, the quote-unquote claw part. I'm just gonna show you guys how you can make a pincer from the two pieces and attaching it to the edge of another Waldo. Now, I'm not gonna attach it on because then I'd have a hard time getting them out because I don't have my pliers. But here you can connect and make a spearhead piece. We've seen this in the promo photos, but you can actually do it on it, which is pretty cool. You just attach it to an end of a Waldo like this. I'm not gonna dig them all the way deep, but like I said, there we go. So you make spearhead dragon. Rah, 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 rah. Now, we've covered the accessories and things like that. Actually, wow, I covered a lot. I didn't realize I was kind of rambling on there. So, we've covered so much, I could actually get to the size comparisons. So, I'll see you guys in a second. Alright. Now, we're going to jump into size comparisons. I don't even know where we can begin. This is a lot and a little bit all at once. You know what? Let's do Mafex Miles Morales. I like this comparison. Mostly because this will save me the trouble of when people get the Aaron Davis one, how it sizes out with the Mafex. And let's get these guys together, make them look good, and let's pick your head up just a little bit so people can see your true height. And as you can see, that's where the Mafex stands with the Yamaguchi. I think that's a good one. Here we are with a Marvel Legends Spider-Man. Like I said, I think that his height actually works out really well. That way, no matter what, he's kind of bigger than most people. Even if Spider-Man isn't tall, it just looks really good. Here we are with our movie counterparts. This is the SHF Iron Spider, which I'm going to call him Teen Iron Spider, right? For some reason, nothing will stand today, and it's probably because it's 100 plus degrees, and nothing wants to just work well with me. Nothing. Here is the Mafex Iron Spider. So I'm going to hold this guy up because, like I said, nothing wants to really work well with me today. It's very hot. Let's move these guys out of the way. Let's here we are with a few Iron Men. Let's actually get some Iron Men in here. This is the Sentinel Fighting Armor Black and Gold Edition. That looks really good. Here's our Revoltech Bleeding Edge, which I mean you can use it with it. It's not the Extremis armor, but it still looks really good next to the Iron Spider for obvious reasons. Here we are with a modular Iron Man Marvel Legends. And I don't know what it is with all my domestics today, but no, not all my domestics. Literally, all figures that have been on display, like in cool poses, just not working today. Here we are with the Marvel Legends. And here's an SHF Mark III. I was using them in a comparison with the Ironmonger. Now you can see the SHF is going to be literally the smallest one here. Next we have a G.I. Joe Major Blood. Come on, Blood, don't do this to me. We have an SHF Kuga. Again, along that SHF tiny scale. I didn't mean to cut on the light, but my hand hit it. So there we are with that. Next, we can throw in a Marvel Legends movie Venom. And that guy's big. As you can see, he fits in the background all too well. Even if I move Spider-Man back just a bit, you'll see these guys kind of wrap up to a nice comparison. There we go. So let's move Spider-Man back in frame just a little bit. There we go. Next up, let's do a Mythic Legions. So here we are with a Mythic Legions. See, Spider-Man kind of works itself out with that one. Here we are with a Monster Venom. In case you want to mix and match your universes, which I totally enjoy, you can mix up your timelines too as a Monster Venom. And then we have Revoltech's Monster Venom as well. He is not in good shape right now, as I've just had him in a crazy pose. Trying to get him to stand up right now is just not a good choice. Not in this heat. But yeah, I love this Spider-Man. But then again, I also have a lot of personal bias because I'm a big Spider-Man fan. And even being objective, if we're being honest, this is a really solid piece. But it's not going to be for everyone. Some people don't want to put in the work for posing. Some people don't like Revo joints. So if you know that this is not your aesthetic, but you're interested, think to yourself, do I really want to get this and be mad at myself later? Or you can stick with your aesthetic and hope that someone else does an Iron Spider. It's not impossible, but yeah, for those of you who know themselves and know what they want to get, go and grab it. Hopefully you have a good time with it. It still may not be for you, but for me, it's totally up my alley. I absolutely adore it, and I hope you guys enjoy the photos at the end. I hope you guys are being well. Hope you guys are getting enough sleep. I hope you guys are drinking water. Please be safe out there. Treat yourself well. Be kind to yourself as well as being kind to others. And as always, please be good, do good, drink your water, guys. Later.